I'll handle this.
You're looking at a woman who is perhaps making the worst decision of Yellowstone Season 5 so far. I don't know her name, but after flirting with Rip, she tries to smooth things over with Beth. How do you think that went? Yeah, Beth gets put in handcuffs, the new sheriff won't let her free, Rip threatens them, and there's a brand new problem for the Duttons, and Beth was having such a good day. It's Billy. And while seemingly just another Beth NATO ripped across the Dutton Ranch, I really think that this incident could have some big implications. First, let me know if you agree with this statement. Season 5, Episode 3 was the episode we needed. I mean, Episode 1 was slow, and Episode 2 was sad, and really didn't do very much to move the plot along. All of a sudden now we're going places. And give a thumbs up if you really enjoyed seeing Beth get a big win, Walker bringing his girlfriend back to the bunkhouse, and Rip trying to put his foot down.
That's true.
Beth, I said no.
Yeah, that didn't really work out. Time codes in the description section will jump you right to the Beth Dutton consequences, but I think the biggest thing that happened is that we finally learned what this meant.
I saw the end of us.
It's been 9 months since we learned that Kayce, who's John Dutton's youngest son, was going to have to make a choice, and during Episode 1 and Episode 2 of Season 5, there was frustratingly little about what the choice was. And for those who are a little foggy, here are some of the details. Kayce went on a multi-day vision quest to figure out why he kept seeing wolves. He learns it's his spirit animal. Remember that I just said that because I'm going to come back to it in just a moment. After some amount of drama and a few hallucinations, he finds out he has to choose between two very awful paths. Both lead to some sort of destruction, and come to find out, Kayce hadn't made the choice until now. When Chief Rainwater and Mo come to consult him on how to properly bury his infant son, whose name is also John, Kayce tells him he needs a new job because...
I don't do this for me. I do it for my father, and every time I do this job, something bad happens to her, to me, to my son. My vision told me I have to choose, so I'm choosing, and I don't choose this.
What he's referring to as his state job as the livestock commissioner, a post that his father once held. That's made even clearer about 8 minutes later when he visits his dad and says,
I can't serve both. I choose her and I choose my son.
Choice made. So what's it mean? Take a breath, share some of your theories below. I'll also ask now for you to consider subscribing to this channel for more Yellowstone insight and analysis, and a really great conversation after each episode. Kayce said,
I do it for my father, and every time I do this job, something bad happens to her, to me, to my son.
And a short list of those events includes 1, the end of Season 3 when he's attacked while sitting in his new office. 2, the beginning of Season 4 when we learn that at the same exact time people are attacking his family at his home, and Tate ends up killing a man. And 3, to begin Season 5, because he was doing his job, Monica tried to drive herself to the hospital. She ended up hitting a buffalo, and they lost the baby. So yeah, Kayce, point made. We learned 2 more things during this sequence. Monica knew what decision she'd have to make, and she helped him make it, and Monica did indeed cut her hair as part of the grieving process.
Gotta let her do it.
Subscribers know this is something that we went deep on like a month ago, but the short version is that it's common in Native American cultures for the grieving to cut their hair, oftentimes burying it with the body. So now we know Kayce's choice, but we still don't understand this.
I saw the end of us.
Except I kind of think we do. There's not going to be a happy ending for the Dutton family. The entire show is a real-to-life narrative about inevitable expansionism. I always quote author Chuck Klosterman, who says, "The future always wins," and I think that's true in Montana. This is the great irony of Yellowstone. By shining a light on how we need to preserve the land and resources of Montana, Taylor Sheridan is really doing the tourist board's job for them and making people want to visit, live in, and build in Montana at the expense of the land. In the show 1883, there's an Indian elder who tells James Dutton he'd lose his land in 7 generations. That's Tate, which means the end is coming. The end of us is the end of the ranching lifestyle on the show, and in real life, Taylor Sheridan is not an optimist. During the opening scenes of episode 3, we get a really informative flashback about how the wolves were introduced to the area by man several decades ago. And I really loved this ticked-off town meeting where some politician tries to claim that no one can prove it's the wolves eating the calves. The Dutton solution, as we learned in episode 2, is to shoot them, but that is the thing that the Native Americans say not to do. You remember during season 4, Kayce is being followed by a wolf, and he says he's going to shoot it, but Mo tells him do not do that. Under any circumstances, it's the worst thing he could do at that time. Kayce is the wolf, and he seems to be able to speak to them. Sidebar, Taylor may not be an optimist, but he's proving to be something of a mystic. Colby, Ryan, and Rip are only upset about killing the wolves because they're national park wolves and they could get thrown in jail. So, sure as I'm getting gray hair, the Department of Fish and Wildlife turn up and have a conversation with Rip. So far, this hasn't gone anywhere, but it's pretty clear that it's going to. 2 scenes from the episode 4 trailer prove that. First, there's this one.
I stepped on a few landmines.
And then this one.
We'll come after you with both barrels, Governor.
You see a lot of the same characters in those scenes. My personal theory that this is the start of giving some leverage to Chief Rainwater and Angela Blue Thunder, who often use a nature platform to get what they want. Pretty smart move. I think that because Taylor Sheridan has all but promised no more than 5 or maybe 6 seasons of Yellowstone, we have to be starting a sort of final act. Let's skip ahead to that bar scene and the arrest. The bunkhouse crew was absolutely right when they said it was a very bad idea to go to the bar to celebrate Loyd's 58th birthday. By the way, the bunkhouse does birthdays big, don't they? Beth gets put in the cop car and Rip can't get her out because there's a new sheriff in town. Remember, during season 4, John's buddy Donnie Haskell is killed, and Sheriff Ramsey makes it really clear he is not John's buddy. So he charges Beth with aggravated assault after this woman, who, let's be honest, started it all by flirting with Rip, says she's pressing charges. I suspect that she's someone important. We're going to find that out soon enough. This is a really big issue, but not just because Beth Dutton is a Dutton. She is also the sitting governor's chief of staff now. You remember John fired the old one a week ago. That behavior is not very chief of staff-like. What a headache for John, but it's also a chance for Jamie to flex, and it looks like he's going to do just that.
You just sit here and hope she doesn't file formal charges.
You are going to stop her.
Beyond that, it's hard to imagine Beth keeping her job under John Dutton. I mean, imagine if this happened in your state. It'd be a really bad look, right? Maybe a new one is appointed for John. Maybe he finds one himself. Kayce is suddenly unemployed now, right? Maybe he gets it. But whomever it is won't be as strong and won't have as much control over Jamie as Beth did. That leaves Jamie to serve Jamie's interests, which, if you know anything, is not good for Beth, even when it is really good for Beth. So while Beth gave the woman she punched the middle finger and an FU, she might have just done the same to her dad. 2 more things happened during episode 3. Like I said, this was the episode we wanted from this show. Everything good about Yellowstone came together, like Jamie getting seduced once again by a woman playing him. Sarah Atwood, who walks into the governor's office with a thigh-high split in her dress, makes a dinner date with Jamie in a plot to take him down. We'll see where that goes soon, but she knows his weakness already. Gosh darn these beautiful women. The other thing is pretty complicated, and I'm going to do my best to explain what Beth did in Utah right now. She visits representatives of Burson International, which is a competitor of Market Equities, and more or less gives her controlling interest of Schwartz and Meyer in exchange for the ownership of the land that she purchased around the Yellowstone Ranch while she ran Schwartz and Meyer. She did this because she knows she's going to get sued by Market Equities soon, so she dropped her interest and then put the land she got in a conservation easement. This means the airport can't build a terminal there any longer. Carolyn Warner is set to get fired as a New York-based board of the company says they want to drop the lawsuit. Big victory for Team Dutton, right? Well, we'll see. I actually just talked to John Emmett Tracy for an upcoming episode of the Dutton Rules podcast, and he shares that he sticks around through the end of the first half of Season 5 and plans to be there as they start filming the second half soon. That conversation is coming. Links to the podcast in the description section. I'm Billy Dukes for Taste of Country. If you're interested in sponsoring these Yellowstone recap videos, email staff@tasteofcountry.com. Thanks for watching, and thanks for subscribing.